we've all seen many companies in the last decade or so coming and solving the payment challenges for consumers, right? There has been the UPI moment, the QR code moment, and all sorts of things, wallets, and everything has happened for consumers. But on the other side, business payments have actually struggled.
We are here with Team Enkash. हमारे साथ हैं नवीन बाबू, हमारे साथ हैं त्यागी जी on the right, और हमारे साथ हैं हेमंत सर. हेमंत जी, नवीन जी, त्यागी जी, welcome to Team SBM.
Thank you.
In fact, you have been part of Team SBM right from the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's
This
true.
was the first partnership we had. बड़ा interesting, and typically when you talk about startups, when you talk about these people doing well, you know, there is generally one personality leading, right? ये यहाँ पे अपना ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश तीनों हैं. So I wanted to understand, how did this come about?
Interestingly, you know, for more than 20 years, we are kind of working in digital payment space, right? So some way or other, we know each other, right? I mean, each other's work also, you know, in the space. और वो कहते हैं ना, good work always get noticed, right?
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
So Tyagi, me, I think, you know, each one of us were knowing each other, that, you know, someone like Tyagi, Naveen, Hemant is there in the space doing some work. And we also kind of, you know, interacted with each other as well, one way or other. So
you guys were in the same organization or
not? No, we were in different organizations. I think in the early days, HDFC, Tyagi was in HDFC, Naveen was in First Data, I was in ICICI Bank. I started my career in ICICI Bank. So, but you know, since evolution of digital payments were happening during that time, same way, you know, people like us were also evolving with the space. So that's how we got to know each other.
We were early entrants into the digital payment space, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And because it was initial days, everybody knew who's working where. And then you realize who's the right person doing right job at the right place, right? That's how I think we start connecting with each other.
That is interesting, huh? Different banks में normally people know of each other.
Yeah.
तो शायद इतनी दोस्तियाँ नहीं होती हैं.
वो नहीं होती.
Probably I
वो
have
नहीं
a
होती.
common connection working with First Data, right?
Yeah.
We were also working for ICICI Bank and HDFC,
and
had a lot of
Yeah.
linkages with NPCI where Tyagi was, right? So somewhere or the other, those overlaps came in, and that's how. In 2009, I think First Data partnered with ICICI Merchant Services was born, which is where Hemant and I started knowing each other, right? So that's how the overlaps actually helped us get together much before.
Interesting. So तुम लोगों ने क्या सोचा पहले कि हम लोग साथ आके कुछ करेंगे या?
नहीं, पहले तो हमने सोचा कि साथ बैठ के कॉफी पियेंगे सर.
हाँ.
So we started having coffees together.
Did you mean we'll have beers together?
हाँ, actually beers, I said maybe we can't say that word here. So yeah.
So Quarter was the famous restaurant in Khar. That's where, you know, it all started with respect to Enkash.
I think somewhere the entrepreneurial streak was there in each one of us, but obviously everyone took a slightly different paths to get to the end point. You know, but finally I think we came together at the right time when the whole ecosystem was booming, was going through a lot of change, and we found our home together.
So just stressing on the point, right? Because मैं ना इस job में इसके पहले भी I was with some other organization जहाँ पे काफ़ी new gen, काफ़ी entrepreneurs से मिलने का मौका लगा. पर तुम लोग ना हमेशा थोड़ा अलग थे, right? You guys are not, you know, people who started entrepreneurship right after college.
हमारी family भी यही बोलती है.
हाँ. So I'm sure the decision to quit your well-paying jobs and start something on your own, जहाँ पे कब होगा, क्या होगा, and you guys are very generous here to say when the payment ecosystem was booming. I think our parents, our families, our spouses probably wouldn't have understood this as much. ये journey कैसी थी to quit everything?
So I'll tell you what, I think the drive to do something on your own was much more even before deciding कि हमें क्या करना है. Honestly, we incorporated our company 6 months before even starting it. Fact is that, so we incorporated, we said incorporate karte payment space mein. What in payment space is what we discussed together and then came into it, right? So I think to start it was a drive and passion which happened. What to start was a thought process which worked over a period of time, and then we started with Enkash. So it was a justified decision. It was a well thought out decision, but because of the drive which was there to start it.
What all does Enkash do?
We've all seen many companies in the last decade or so coming and solving the payment challenges for consumers, right? There has been the UPI moment, the QR code moment, and all sorts of things, wallets, and everything has happened for consumers. But on the other side, business payments have actually struggled. There's very little innovation that has happened on the business side, right? Which is where we keep our focus as a core always, and then you keep building solutions around it as to how can you remove the friction when it comes to businesses making payments either to their suppliers or their utilities or their employees or whatever, right? Ultimately make the whole process as good as how a consumer can bank today or how a consumer can make payments, make it as simple as that for businesses as well. I think that's how we look at Enkash essentially.
थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग बनाते हैं ना. So tell us one high point, one low point.
High point was that Caterpillar meeting. I would again say, I think that was the most memorable meeting. I would say.
Hashtag मारना पड़ेगा. Hashtag quarterbar.
Don't do that. That's not right.
I think that was the high point. I think where we decided to go together and start this. That was the high point, and then the drive was there to do something, disrupt the payment space, which people in the space have not done so far. We wanted to do that.
Low point, probably there haven't been many, or I don't remember anything much, but I think the time when COVID struck was the time when it sort of came to us that maybe we need to think through very carefully, right? You just can't sort of step on something and thinking that all of this is going to go well, because what COVID really taught us was that things that really can't be imagined can actually happen.
जब मैं स्कूल कॉलेज में था ना, एक वर्ड ना बहुत मुश्किल से समझ पाता था, समझ ही नहीं पाया था. पैराडाइम शिफ्ट, राइट? इट वाज अ फ्रेज दैट वाज टॉट. राइट. सो देयर वर टू वर्ड्स व्हिच आई वाज ऑलवेज हैविंग ट्रबल envisage, right? This was the day where YouTube was not there, and one was paradigm shift और दूसरा होता था quantum, right? ये कोविड के दौरान ना दोनों समझ में आ गया. What is paradigm shift in spend patterns, in usage patterns, and how you move a quantum. So for Enkash, paradigm shift तो बता दिया नवीन ने. Quantum क्या था?
During COVID times, I think, and this is where it comes across, a trio which comes across in different thought process. How do they play out? Let me give that flavor to it right now. I was the person who was the most pessimistic at that point of time, okay? And I said,
I wouldn't have thought that at all.
And I was of the opinion, guys, we should cut down our force, cut down the people, cut down the spending, cut down everything, whatever we can right now, because this was first patch which was happening. Naveen was playing, nahi yaar, sambhal ke chalte hain. And Hemant was in the sense ki, guys, this is the team which is going to take us through in the next phase whenever the COVID is through. We need to make sure these guys are happy.
अच्छा, तुम तीन हो ना, तो पूरा थीम 3 का करते हैं, राइट? हाँ. So which are the top 3 happy moments or the top 3 wins?
For me, I mean, it was the first transaction when we actually did first transaction. The revenue out of it was somewhere close to 450 rupees. I paid $1,000 for the coffee because the machine at that point in time was not working. I had to, take that CFO to a coffee shop and get that transaction done. So I think that
wasn't I at the airport looking at the back end working? Yeah, I was actually traveling that day and I was at an airport and Hemant calls me and says our first transaction is going to go through. Please make sure the systems are up and running. And I opened up my laptop in the lobby of the airport and I'm like.
No, I was chilling with my beer at the airport.
He was also at the airport too and having his beer. Yeah. And he was sending me photograph of beer का.
अच्छा, theme is coffee conversations. तो सब जगह beer को coffee बोला करो.
हाँ, चलो ठीक है.
Yeah.
I have pictures of us traveling in an auto in Bangalore going for a VC pitch when we were raising capital, right?
तीनों थे auto में.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And auto wala was clicking our picture.
We have that picture with us, and those are the days that we recall. Another instance that I said, I was sitting at the airport trying to look at the system, the first transaction going through. all those memories are there, right? And we cherish those because
I have the photograph of Naveen, is having his laptop bag, and on laptop bag, laptop is there, and on the live environment, he's kind of, trying to solve challenges, which is kind of occurring.
Bangalore airport के बाहर
Bangalore
बैठे हैं।
airport के
इंटरेस्टिंग, सब में त्यागी कॉफी पी रहा होता था।
त्यागी कॉफी पीना always he is out.
See, देखो किसी आदमी को खर्चा करके सबको खुश करने के लिए भी चाहिए।
मैं भी ये अपनी टीम को मजाक में बोलता हूँ कि बिफोर वी साइंड अप द पर्सन कमिंग टू पिच वाज त्यागी। हाँ, तो दुल्हन दिखाई कोई और, शादी के बाद आ गया नवीन। but the amount of likability, affability and the clarity of thought that Tyagi brings to the table, I think is super. Tyagi.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
When you are onboarding a talent, what do you look for?
I think one of the things that and this is for everyone that we hire, we oftentimes tell people that we are hiring you for you to come and tell us what we should do. If we were to tell you what you should do, I think then it's a wrong hire.
Tell me, how is it different than when you were hiring in your previous jobs, when you were an employee versus when you're an entrepreneur? How does hiring decision change? And should it change?
I think at startup, I think one of the things that as founders, what we need is people who can drive things on their own as much as possible. And we also look for people who can think out of box. In our previous jobs, and that's just because we've largely worked with various bigger banks and payment processing companies, we used to look for people who can sincerely follow the process, deliver on time and things like that, right? And even if they didn't think out of box, it was okay at that point in time, but I think that doesn't really work at startup.
Two other characteristics are also kind of important, especially when it comes to startup. One is attitude, right attitude.
Yeah.
The second one is passion, right? I mean, these are the two intrinsic quality we probably look forward.
A large organization which is already established versus a startup which is growing. So if you're in a large organization which is already established, there are processes, policies and work which is already defined. You're looking for a person to do that particular job. When you're in a growth phase of a startup, you're looking at a person going beyond his call of duty and what he's being hired for, right? That's a very big difference in a thought process of hiring a person.